Well, hello and welcome to Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. I am your host, Coach Doreen Lettsome Reid. We welcome you here today. We are so excited to have you here on Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. I am your host, Coach Doreen Lettsome Reid, and from all around the world, we welcome you. So, as your certified business coach to confident Christian women coaches, Confident Woman Incubator Podcast is a platform just for you. I coach high performing Christian coaches 40 and over how to develop a business blueprint to gain clarity of their specific mission, message, mandate, and mantle to lay a firm foundation with business structure, services, product development, policies, and procedures that the business framework and construction can be built so that you can overcome fear, shatter misconceptions, increase confidence, and profit by faith in all things business. And here on Confident Woman Incubator Podcast, I am so excited to announce that we are doing our All Things Business World Tour chat. Every year, we have women from around the world come to Confident Woman Incubator Podcast and share their experiences. Now, this year, we have an amazing guest who is Miss Sara Sampson, and she's going to be sharing from us the perspective of Spain. Yes, ladies, I have taken you all around the world to literally Spain. So welcome, Miss Sara. How are you? Good to have you here on Confident Woman Incubator Podcast.
Thank you so much, Doreen. I'm happy to be here. I am super excited. It's a beautiful day here in Spain. Of course, here on the west coast of Spain, it's often very beautiful, very warm. So I'm happy to be here today and to share what my experience is and what I know with you.
Yes. You really was painting a beautiful picture of Spain, and I want you to continue to do that because we're going to be talking about the 3C's today, about your country. So you were already giving us a very photogenic picture in our minds about how Spain looks and what it feels like there. You've already told us it's very beautiful. Go ahead and just go in more in depth about that, Sara.
Here in Spain, especially right here where I live on the west coast, I'm just north of Gibraltar, which means you could practically throw a stone and hit Africa from here. It's pretty fantastic. You can get on a boat. You can be in Africa in 45 minutes by driving and being on a boat and go and see Morocco and all the beautiful places there. But that also means that my area has a lot of the plants and the same temperatures as the areas there in northern Africa. We get a lot of sand from Africa, so our soil is sandy and soily. If you've ever been to Arizona, it's a lot like that. We have a mixture of palm trees and cactus. It's very beautiful when you go out and you're walking around. It's really hard to be inside. I wanted to do this outside where you could see my crown of thorns plants and my beautiful flowers, but my Wi-Fi signal did not like it out there. So we're inside.
Now, let me ask you this, Sara. Do you have oceans and beaches there in Spain? And do you have the mountain terrain? Can you kind of like paint more of a picture about that as well?
Yeah, sure. Here where I'm at, we have the sandy beaches and we have the more of a coastal feel because we're on the coast. As you get further inland, we have mountains about 45 minutes inland from here, still in Andalusia. We have a big ski resort and a big vacation place. So the elevation goes up pretty fast into the mountains where you can get more of the mountaining feel. As you get closer to Madrid, it becomes a lot more of a what you would see probably there in the east coast of the United States, just without as many trees. A lot of our trees here are more spread out than you're used to on the west coast, on the east coast. Sorry, there in the States. But we have a big variety of trees, and as you get inland, the trees change. There's many varieties of trees that you uh, can, how do you say it, enjoy, I guess. Lots of flowering trees, lots of different types. And as you get closer to the east side of Spain, now you're right next to France. And in France, you see more of the what you usually see in the movies of what Europe is like. So Spain has a very wide variety of different places you can experience different atmospheres. But the culture changes just slightly. The language changes. For example, here we speak a different kind of Spanish than they speak in Madrid. Each of the provinces has their unique things about them, and what you would experience in each one is different. So it's really fun to visit the different parts of Spain and see how their take on the Spanish culture is different from what we have here in Jerez.
Wow. So you can literally just continuously go from one environment to another environment within minutes from what I'm gathering of this conversation. You can literally look over the horizon 45 minutes, you're in Africa. Then you can go in the opposite direction, another 45 minutes to an hour, I think you mentioned, and you're in the mountains, which sounds like the Alps. Then you're literally changing the trajectory of how you're speaking and conversing and how you're shopping based on these environments, atmospheres, because you mentioned that the culture is also shifting. So Spain most definitely sounds like a wonderful place to live, a wonderful place to really understand. And that's why this has been in my heart for the last 3 years to do. I want those that are listening and viewing to Confident Woman Incubator podcast to have a global view. It's very important, especially for us in business, as Christian women in business, to understand that there is more than what we are currently seeing in our own environment, that we are called to a global, worldwide marketplace. So, in order to understand that worldwide marketplace that we are called to impact in all things business, I wanted to really hear from women around the world and you express your environment, your atmosphere, your country, your culture, and your Christian business values for us to really get an understand of what it really means to be a kingdompreneur worldwide, not just here in the US, not just where you are locally in your own personal state or where you are there in your own office. I want us to have a worldwide view because that's really what we're called to do in order to be effective. And all by getting, we are to get understanding. And even having this dialogue, what I'm hearing is that there are a lot of similarities because here in the United States, where even where I live in my state in South Carolina, you can go to North Carolina and you're in mountains because you have to go there to the zoo. So in the zoo, there is when we travel to the zoo and when we go to the North Carolina Zoo, we're able to see mountains. And you're saying it's similar to where you are in Spain. So I just love having this conversation with women from around the world. And I appreciate you being here on Confident Woman Incubator podcast to really paint in our minds a vivid picture of what Spain is like. And you touched on the culture there. Can you go more in depth to help us really understand the different shifts of culture? I would say, what is the major differences and some of the similarities in the culture?
Definitely. So a little bit of background. I'm not a native Spaniard. I am an implant. I grew up in the United States, and but I am living here. So being able to speak on those cultural differences, I definitely can because we call it the culture shock. And when I come back to the States, I have reverse culture shock because I get used to how it works here, and then I go back to the States and it doesn't work that way anymore. For example, here in Spain, there is something called siesta. I'm sure everyone's heard about siesta. They have siestas in other countries as well. How it works here is around 2 o'clock, everything shuts down. Everybody goes home. The kids go home from school. The just everything closes pretty much. And everyone goes home to spend time with their families. A lot of times people think that siesta means you take a nap. Here in Spain, it's not just napping, it's called rest. You go home, you spend time with your family, you spend time relaxing and eating and socializing. It's about being together in your home. A lot of the homes here are multi-generational. They'll have the grandparents and the kids and the grandkids all in the same house. And so this time is a time for the entire family in that household to communicate and to get together. Family is such a big thing here. I know that in the States, family is big. People love their families, and we try to bring our families together. And here in Spain, it seems like they're always with their family. One of the first things I had to learn quickly was if they ask you to come over to have a meal. For example, if my husband's coworker says, please come to our home and have a meal, they're not asking me and my husband to come. They're asking the whole family. They
Wow.
expect you to bring your 2-year-old child to the meal, even if they don't have kids,
Wow.
because they want the whole family. They
Wow.
want everybody together. And that was a huge culture shock to me to
Yes.
wrap my head around, but I love it. And when I go back to the States, I have to remind myself to ask. Is this
Right.
adults only, or is this with kids?
Yeah, that is so beautiful. So here in the States, we are so focused about this word self-care. We are hearing it. It's been the buzzword now for about 2 or 3 years. We also are hearing the word mental health. We're also hearing the word, just being able to have wellness checks mentally, wellness checks emotionally. We're starting to hear these types of language, this type of conversation. It's everywhere, it's saturated here in the United States. But what I'm hearing from you is Spain as an entire country and as an entire culture has said, we understand how to take a pause, we understand how to rest. And I was reading someone's post here in the United States that they were breaking down the difference between sleep and rest. And I thought that that was very important because for my self care day, I don't work on Fridays. On Fridays, I spend time with my granddaughter. I take her to a program that I have enrolled in with her, and we do the program together. I actually have to drive about 30 minutes to pick her up and bring her to South Carolina. And so this is my time with her. Before I go do that, I am asleep. I am, sleeping in because I usually get up 4 o'clock in the morning every day. So this is my time to sleep in. This is my time to kind of like veg out on TV because TV relaxes me, and during the week I don't watch a lot of TV. I try not to watch a lot of TV until Friday. So what I'm hearing from you is Spain has literally, as a country, made a conscious and intentional decision to lead the way for the entire country to say, okay, we want our marriages to be healthy. We want our social life to be healthy. We want to be healthy mentally, emotionally, and obviously spiritually as well, because we're going to touch on that in a minute. And I think that is such a beautiful thing. Now, let me ask you this, Sarah, because you probably can kind of guess. I'm assuming that the marriage uh, divorce rate is very low there. I'm assuming because this is built into the culture that the divorce rate is not high like it is in the States.
I don't know, actually. I haven't looked that up. That would be very interesting to find out. I do know that of the people I've met, I don't hear the word divorce often. I don't hear the word separation often. They take marriage very differently. When you are married, you become the same person. Anything that one person is doing, the other person is doing legally. But they don't change their name. They keep their name they were born with. So the woman doesn't change her last name. And so you retain your self identity and become and come together as a couple who then does everything together. It was confusing to them when we were signing paperwork for the house where we said our American companies want his signature and my signature separately, and they're going, but one of you is the same as the other one because you're married, right? And so they don't see marriage as a you and me, it's an us. We come together with our identities and we build this together and we're in this together. It's a very beautiful thing to see. I can't speak to the numbers. I'd have to research that and look that up. But I do know that I feel that around me a lot more. You don't hear it, you don't see it. I don't hear or see it from my neighbors or the people that we see on base very often.
Wow. Now that in itself is a beautiful thing. That in itself is a beautiful thing right there. That is so beautiful. That is so profound. This is the Spain perspective. So those that are just joining Confident Woman Incubator podcast, we are here in Spain with Sara Sampson, and she's giving us an overview of the 3 C's: her country, which is Spain; culture, which is the Spanish culture there. And we're now learning that when husband and wife come together, it's not a you and I thing, it's a we thing. We're also learning that the woman does not, drop her name and take on another name, but they're coming with the same identity, coming together as husband and wife to build a union. That Spain actually takes marriage very seriously, which is what God intended in the first place, as a true covenant. We also learned that siesta does not necessarily mean you're going home to sleep for 5 hours. We learned that it means rest, a time dedicated for the entire country, throughout the culture, that it is normal to go home at 2 o'clock. Everything shuts down so that you can have that rejuvenation time with your family, that time of refreshment, that time of realignment is built in every day of every year and of every moment, which is such a beautiful thing. So now, Sara, I know that you are, the president of Toastmasters International, and that you also do a lot of volunteer work. So when it comes to Christian business values, what would you say really stands out to you, since you are there in Spain, living in Spain? And you mentioned that your husband obviously is on the naval base there as well. All of this, we know that the military is a billion-dollar business as well. In any country, it's a very big business, especially that Spain is supporting the Ukraine and all that is going on. So when you take all of these things and we look at the Christian business values from your point of view in Spain, what would you like to say?
For me personally, a lot of it is about service. It's about reaching out.
Okay.
They put a big emphasis on being there for your neighbor, and greed becomes kind of a side note. We do have things like huge 12-foot hedges around every property, and everything is completely blocked in, like you feel like you're sitting in a compound in your house because of that, because they're concerned about people taking advantage. But then they have this great outreach to the community, that they are constantly looking for ways to serve, looking for ways to help each other, because the economy is rough here, especially right now. Things are getting more difficult with things going on in Ukraine. And so people are reaching out to their neighbors.
Miss
People
Sara,
are,
excuse me,
yes,
you may want to check your internet because you're going in and out.
am I? That's a part of Spain. Our internet here is not the best, and I apologize for that.
Okay, now we can
Um,
hear you. Go ahead.
you have me? Okay. There's a lot of reaching out to each other. For example, if somebody doesn't have gas, but you have a horse and buggy, you take your neighbors up the road in the horse and buggy. You help each other out. I can knock on my neighbors' doors and say, hey, we have a problem over here. I don't know what to do. And they'll come and help. I've had neighbors help me with my Spanish when I need to do something important legally and can't. I just knock on the door and they say, I'm right there. Give me 2 seconds to tie this up. I'll be right there. They're very help each other out, do what you can for each other, share your resources. So as a volunteer myself, I lead our women's group from church called the Relief Society. And I also work with our on-base commands to, as a volunteer, to help new families coming and transitioning in this work. A lot of it is helping people connect to the right resources. For example, there is a women's shelter here that has battered women that come to the shelter. And we do a lot of service there, just helping to make sure that their water is running, that their electricity is running, that their shelves are stocked, that the women can come in and have the resources they need to get back on their feet and to get back into the community. But we do a lot of service through our women's group with them, and a lot of the community pitches in when we say, hey, we need this for these women. People in the community will donate paint, they'll donate building materials, things beyond the clothes and food that you're used to just doing in the States. They will say, hey, we just finished this construction project, we have all this extra lumber, you need the lumber, I'm going to donate it to you. It's a very common thing here to share the resources, not wasting them, because it's very tight here. Everything is tight.
So what I'm hearing is it's in Spain, it's a sense of community, true community, where you are truly share, connect, grow, and building the community together. I'm hearing that there is a sense of unity, that there is no competition, which is what I stress in my coaching, is that we complete, we don't compete. And especially when you're talking about Christian business values, it is more important to have a sense of collaboration, which is what you've just described in the community. That's a huge transitional skill that you can use there in Spain and anywhere in the world, to understand the power of collaboration and also the power of the ask. You have not because you ask not. So those are some business tools and keys I wanted to just pull out from what you're saying there in Spain, that anyone in the world can actually use and implement immediately to begin to profit by faith. When we remove the jealousy, when we remove the competitiveness, even in business, and learn how to build that sense of community, to really build that sense of collaboration, we can really advance God's kingdom in all things business. And so I'm glad that you broke that down, and that you're sharing your firsthand experience on the military base. We know that the military has to function as a well-oiled machine, or less the country will be invaded. And we saw Ukraine coming together, pushing back Putin, all his forces as much as possible. And now, because of collaboration, those people, those refugees, are able to go to Spain and other neighboring areas, all because of the power of the ask, all because of the power of collaboration. And all of these things that I'm mentioning and you're mentioning are keys to unlock what's inside you from a business perspective. So I'm glad you did point that out. Now, Sara, I do want you to talk about, because you are specifically the president for Toastmasters International, Talk of the Town, and you are my mentor. You helped me with my speaking in this group. I've been a part of this group now a year, and I'm privileged to say that you're my speaker, mentor, coach. We meet together when my schedule allows, but we have a consistent, we're always consistently talking, but we actually have those dedicated times where I'm working on my pathway as a coach. And this is really important for me to point out, because when people hear the word Toastmasters International, they immediately think about speaker. They immediately think, well, I'm gonna build a speaking business, so I'm going to use that. And that is true. But as a certified business coach to confident Christian women coaches, I chose to be a part of Toastmasters International, and I chose you to be my mentor, and you chose me to be your mentee to specifically help me work on the pathway of coaching. And a lot of people that are listening and watching don't even know that Toastmasters offers those type of pathways. So could you please give us more information about Toastmasters International?
Yeah, so Toastmasters International is a international club that has individual clubs throughout the world. There are clubs in 149 different countries. So I am the president of the Talk of the Town Toastmasters Club, and this club is located in Maryland physically, but we have the virtual option to meet virtually. I'm sorry, my husband ordered something and they're at the door, so I'm sorry for the doorbell ringing in the background here. I might need to jump and grab that, but I'll answer this really quick because it's so important that Toastmasters is a leadership building. It is a self-need building, and it is a place for us to be able to grow and to learn in more than just speaking. We need to be able to, I'm sorry, these people are calling me. Can I pause
Yes.
for just a
Yes.
moment? Okay, I am so sorry. I did not know it was coming right now.
Is getting the door there in Spain. Life goes on here at Confident Woman Incubator Podcast, and we're so glad that Sara took time out of her busy schedule there in Spain to really give us an overview of the culture there, the country, the Christian values in business. And that's what we're doing throughout the entire month of July here on Confident Woman Incubator Podcast. We are so excited to have all things business world tour chat. We're going to be talking to Christian women from around the world. Sara is just one of the many women that will be featured here in Confident Woman Incubator podcast. And so, we appreciate her taking her time to just give us an understanding of the 3C's. The country is Spain, the culture that we've been talking about, the Christian business values. And now she's also shedding some light on being the president of Toastmasters International. So now we're going to continue our conversation with Sara.
Yes, I'm sorry for that momentary break there. Toastmasters International provides a lot of opportunities for leadership, for learning how to speak on your feet, which we're doing here, and being able to do things like podcasts, questions and answers. When you're a leader, when you're a confident leader, you know how to go out and to speak with people off the cuff, not prepared. You don't know what they're going to ask, but you have to have the knowledge and the confidence in yourself to be able to answer any question they bring to you. Toastmasters International helps to do that. There's 11 different paths that people can pick from. There is the one that focuses a lot on coaching and being able to lead a team, being able to lead other people. And that is the pathway that I'm helping Doreen with, which is fantastic. Yeah, the being able to be a mentor itself in the clubs to new members to teach them what's going on and how to improve, being able to be a club coach to coach an entire club on how they can become a stronger and better club, to being able to work in the district, working with multiple clubs to teach them and help them to grow and to learn. There are levels and levels of opportunity to practice the skills of leadership, to practice the skills of coaching, to practice how to speak in a set speech environment as well as off the cuff question and answer environment, to be able to be a well-rounded speaker and leader is what Toastmasters is about. It's not just the one perspective, it's multiple facets that you can take and be able to grow in.
Yeah, this is why I chose specifically Toastmaster. I chose Talk of the Town Toastmaster International because I really appreciate the support that all of us get in the club. You are immediately assigned someone to mentor you. You are immediately assigned someone to help you with the onboarding process, which can be difficult and challenging because of the technology. Um, but because you have that mentor there that you can schedule an appointment with, and they are going through it with you virtually on the Zoom, and they're showing and sharing you with you the screen, it makes you more confident and makes you more motivated and have that momentum to continue to build yourself as a coach. And that was what I was looking for. I wanted to, of course, be a better and polished speaker. And I believe that as I continue to work with Miss Sara and her critique, that is happening as I am speaking now. Learning how to present yourself to the public on podcasts, how to present yourself on radio. I have my own radio platform. I've been in radio for 13 years, but this is something you have to constantly build on. If you're building a business, you have to constantly go from level to level to level. You'll never stop learning, you never stop polishing, you never stop growing. And so I'm thankful to have the president of Talk of the Town Toastmasters International. And then you looking for your business to go global, you need to be attached to something that's already established globally. And this is why Miss Sarah's here, because she and I already have this connection. And my brand is global. We are literally in multiple we're around the world. I'm global, and that gives you the credibility that people are looking for when they're looking to work with a coach, to know that someone is so well rounded, as Miss Sarah is saying. So we have on the screen for you. We want to invite you to be a part of Talk of the Town Toastmasters. We would like for you to be a part of our bi-weekly meetings. Miss Sarah, would you like to go ahead and tell us when those meetings are? Because I've already got the email on the screen, and we're going to drop it in the comments as well, so that people will be able to literally just email and get the Zoom link and start attending.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah, definitely email that link and we will email you back with the Zoom link, all the upcoming meetings for the next month or two. We usually meet the first and second Mondays of every month. That can change if there is a federal holiday in the United States. The home base of our club is Maryland, USA. So all of our times are East Coast time. So at 11:45 East Coast time, second and fourth Mondays of every month, we meet virtually and in person. We are a combined club. So we have some people who meet at a library there and some people who meet virtually. And we all come together to build each other and help each other. The best part about this to me is that once you're a part of Toastmasters International, you're connected to a single club, but you're not restricted to a single club. For example, while I'm here in Spain, there is a club here in Spain that if I wanted to practice my Spanish speaking or wanted to try a speech in front of a new audience that I know is going to be kind and helpful, I can go to that club. I can go to other clubs and network between me and the thousands of other clubs across the world. Right now, many of them are virtual all over the world. And it's easy to just go to toastmasters.org and find those clubs all over the United States, all over the world, and connect with them through their contact information and be able to network with anybody. Once you're a member of Toastmasters International, you're the club leaders here at Talk of the Town. We know how to help people connect to those other clubs, to guest speak, or to come and to practice your skills in all kinds of environments that are going to be safe, they're going to be uplifting, and they're going to be helpful. They're there to help, not to make you more scared. And so it's a great way to get over jitters of talking to new people.
Absolutely. So, Sarah, we thank you so much. I have it here on the screen, the email address for you to be a guest with us at Talk of the Town. Toastmasters email is talk of the town, TMI at gmail.com. And right now, Sarah is our president. Once you email, the leaders will respond to you and get you the Zoom link, would give you the itinerary, the agenda for the meeting. So literally, you just click and pop in, and we welcome each and every one of you in advance. So, Sarah, this has been an outstanding conversation. I am so thankful that you did take the time to really talk about the 3C's today on the All Things Business World Tour chat. I have enjoyed our chat about the 3C's, the country being Spain, the culture being so unique and beautiful with community building, the neighborhood, the siesta. We learned about all of that. But above all, we learned about Christian business values, how you gave several examples how there in Spain you're collaborating, you're building community, and those are principles that we can literally apply in our businesses every day to grow and profit by faith. So, Sarah, anything you want to say before we leave here on Confident Women Incubator podcast?
I just want to say thank you for having me on and for your wonderful questions. They were very thought provoking. I was nervous about this at first, which happens a lot to speakers. That's a normal thing. Put my mentor thing out there with that. It's normal to feel nervous, but then as we got going, I went, you know what? I know this country. I know where I've been living. I know the people that I'm around because we're out there and we're doing what we do as Christian women, as faithful people. We have to be out there, and we don't have to be preaching, but we can show that light in every aspect of what we do when we're serving, whether it's a church calling, a community calling, or a club, or your work. When I work as a writer as well, and I often will put these things into that with the other writers that I work with in my writers groups, that it's important to remember those things. I'm really grateful that you have this podcast to talk about these things and help people to remember and grow that way. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you just really touched on something right before we go. You talked about us being a light in our community, a light in our business world. So, I'm going to leave everyone here on the podcast with this question: are you lit? Leader, intentionally trailblazing. Think on it, and we'll see you next time. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Sarah.